If you watch my last video, you know that one of my goals was to be consistent. And the only way for me to be consistent on a platform like Instagram is to do things in bulk. I'm sure you clicked on this video because of the title. So I'm gonna show you how I created a year's worth of content in one day. Let's go. What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Like I said in my last video, my first goal was to be consistent. And I knew that I wanted to create something called Word of the Week for Instagram, and I knew that I wanted it to play on my story. So let's go ahead and jump into Photoshop. All right, so now that we're in Photoshop, we're gonna go ahead and create a new document. And we want our document size to be 1080 by 1920. And the resolution we want to be 300. So stylistically for me, I already have an idea of what I want to create. So I just started searching through Google for white textures, and it led me to this website that had a bunch of different white textures. And I just scrolled through until I found one that I liked. And as you see, it was originally a landscape. I had to turn it vertically to make it look the way that I wanted it to look, but I saw the potential from the beginning, so I just rolled with it. All right, so I took it back to Photoshop, placed it, turned it around, and got it in the position where I liked it. And then this is where the fun begins. I use a bunch of different brushes inside of Photoshop. You can download these brushes from places like Brusheezy, or just do a Google search for Photoshop brushes. So the brushes emulate torn paper. So I used one of those and just started, erasing areas of the paper that I didn't want. And you'll see me playing around with different brushes because they have different edges, whatever. They just have different shapes and ridges. So I just erase and erase until, I get a shape that I'm kind of happy with. But you'll see the further we go in the video, I end up changing it a little bit more. But all right, so I got it to a nice little window that I like. So now I'm going into some of my photos that I took when I was in LA a couple years ago to paste behind it, because like I said, this is weekly content and there's going to be an image change from week to week. So yeah, this is just to help me visualize like how it's coming so far. And as you'll see, once again, I'm also going to change that photo. Yeah, so I feel like this photo was a little bit better for, I guess, the flow of the design. And now that I have that in there, I decided to make the top a little bit higher. So I'm back in there with one of those brushes, one of those paper brushes. And I'm just gonna erase away some of that edge. Like that. All right, so now it's time to add some text. And coming into it, I had no idea what fonts I should use. So I'm just gonna fast forward through a lot of this, but you'll see that I'm just playing with different fonts and different colors until, I decide it's not good enough. It's just not good enough. So I had to remind myself what my brand really is. So you'll see me go inside of my folder, and it kind of just tells me the fonts that I should be using, the colors that I should be using, and it kind of puts me back into, oh, okay, this is my identity and this is how it needs to feel. So from there, now that I got it, I can go ahead and continue with the design. Now, I don't know why I do this, but sometimes I can't design like a text design inside of Photoshop. So I decided to open Illustrator, and for some reason when I'm inside of Illustrator, creativity flows a different way even though the tools are pretty much the same. So I went ahead and selected my first font, and that font is this one. This is a part of my branding package. It's one of the fonts that is in my branding package, and as soon as I saw it, an idea sparked, and I was like, huh, all right. Put it together, and then we have that. So I drag it over to Photoshop. And as you see, the word has changed a bunch. I actually ended up writing 52 words for each week of the year, so that it can be, you know, bulk content, but I still have to go in there and change the photo. So it's still a little bit of work required. But if you don't want to change the photo, you can always just keep the same photo. All right, so honestly right here, we're at a point where I feel like it's good enough to post, but being myself, I have to be extra. So I decided to do a Google search for tape. I just felt like tape would add to the vintage feel of the design. And when I pasted it on there, I decided to change the color of the tape, resize it, and boom. You have a year's worth of content. All you gotta do is change the word on the tape.